Hey, Happy New Year! So the previous year was booming about the RAG systems. RAG systems everywhere. And every week we get the new papers that give us the better RAG. And on top of the list for sure, we have a graphRAG. And the work of the Microsoft, and we're talking how the graphs improve the LLMs, reduce the hallucinations and all those things. And it's a topic for the previous year for sure, and we have a lot of conferences, practically every conference about the linked data or connected data just talking about the artificial intelligence. So it's a trend, but you could find tons of guides how to build a graph with the LLM from unstructured data. And usually it's a zero-shot learning prompt with the examples. It sounds super simple, and then some miracles happen. But two questions: if this graph is good enough, and if this graph it's what we need, and what we need is to get this graph construction process in a more quality, because it's not a secret, probably everybody knows it, but I just remind you that to improve the RAG, the retrieval process with the graphs, you need to have the high quality graph, reach of entities, and and all other things. Without the high quality graphs and constructed data from unstructured sources, the graphRAG will not work. And majority of this graph RAGs and the deviations like the hybrid RAG and so on, it's useless if you don't have the well constructed data, reaching entities, free from the hallucinations and all other things. And the biggest, if you want to improve your retrieval process, you need to improve your data construction process, and you need to improve your data strategy and data quality. But how to do it in a graph space? How to manage the construction process in the graphs? Then we will go to this scary world that we tried to avoid for years, and we don't like to talk about it because it's super complex. We will talk about the ontologies. And here we have a challenge, because graph is not a new topic. It's booming from decade, and we have the special people like knowledge engineers, knowledge graph engineers, ontologists, and even ontologist itself. It's the separate discipline, and it's a separate people with a separate set of skills that working in a big enterprises or working as a researchers in different domains that actually defined how the concepts connected to each other, what kind of concepts exist. They start from something simple like the catalogs of the products in e-commerce, and ending with some super complex hierarchies, thesaurus, taxonomies, and all other things that together just define how your knowledge domain actually looks like. And it's extremely complex and philosophical discipline that really some way in between philosophy, art, and engineering. So the ontology engineering actually, it's a deep understanding and defining how your knowledge domain actually looks like. And the problem of all these people that try to build the graphs with the help of the LLM, that usually they have no idea how the graph works, how to create the graph, how to validate if we constructing the proper graph, and they extremely far from the work that ontology people do. So what we should do? First of all, if you seriously working in an artificial intelligence domain and building some artificial agents and all those things, you could go two paths. You could go the adopter path, so find the memory system and graph system that actually already have this capability and use it as a part of your agent. or you need to build this knowledge domain yourself in your team. So maybe you need to hire the ontologist, maybe you need to hire the knowledge graph expert. But what's to do if you don't have the ontologist in your team and you're not ready to invest maybe enough money to hire one because maybe your budget is limited? So then, as I mentioned in my previous video in this Philosophical Wednesdays, that sometimes we have this barefoot experts. So you would dedicate somebody in your team and give them a bit of time and maybe some resources to actually build this expertise. And maybe you could partnership or find the people that already work in this domain. It's one way. Another way, it's a quite philosophical one. Yeah. So first of all, you need to have the domain expert that understand your domain well. And the main source of the ontology actually will be the knowledge of the domain experts. Another thing that a lot of LLMs, even the open source LLMs, they have seen a lot of graph data, like Wikipedia graph and all other things. They have seen practically every open ontology. I'm pretty much sure that somewhere in the memory of the LLMs, we have all the most popular ontologies, taxonomies, thesauruses, and all other things. So actually, you already have your ontologist in a team. And this ontologist actually is the LLM itself. So what you could do, you could try to play with the prompting and ontology constructing prompting. That you could say that I'm working in this particular domain, we have this particular business entities and all other things. Please using the open ontologies, and if you know the names of the ontologies, you could specify them and you could ask to build your ontology core. Or at least build the skeleton that together with the domain experts you could refine and then build the ontology. And the same, the ontology and graph construction validations. It's better to use some formal processes and use some languages like the OVL or Sharp or any other things. I don't believe that for the graph construction validation you need to use the LLM because you will increase a lot of hallucinations on this process, and we have much better formal tools for such things. But to start building your ontology core without the ontologies in the team, you could try to do the ontology extraction with the LLMs, or you could show the LLM a lot of your data and examples and ask to extract the knowledge and all those things. You're in a quite good position if your domain is well defined. Maybe somebody from the same area already make the work for you. So maybe you could benefit from some ontologies that are available in the internet as a public ontologies, or maybe even some companies like Siemens, for example, they invest a lot to create the ontologies for their businesses and make them open. If you're working mainly in some enterprises business domain, take a look to BFO. BFO is quite good, and they describe a lot of business processes and all those things. But if you want to be serious, and if you want to really use the full power of the graphRAGs, you need to think about your ontologies. You need to think about your graph construction, and when you improve heavily the graph construction and data quality, then you will improve heavily your RAG system. And it's quite simple correlation, and you really need to get more knowledge in this domain actually to be productive in this space, because you could not depend just on the LLM modeling. Another process that could be interesting also, and a lot of companies already do it, that you could try to extract not only the graph, but you could try to extract the ontologies in a parallel. But then we have the challenge how to say that we have a hallucination or we have new kind of knowledge that was not available in a graph. So the ontology extractions actually, it's quite interesting topic for my next video probably, because I still research in this domain. If you want to learn more or you're doing something in this field, and wants to share, please contact me, and see you next time. Cheers.